All right, we are here. Good morning. Good morning. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. Also, I am a two-time Canadian Ethnic Media Association award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner. Also, co-host and co-producer of the only online conversation in the world, online show in the world for dads and fathers, sponsored by Doveman Plus Care, and being part of that conversation, part of a team that's reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 men around the world in 2022 and in 2023. So always saying yes, 2 years in a row. So we're going for number 3 year this year. And as always, like to say, you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles and a solution for someone's problem. And especially on this platform, Blackalicious. Hello, Mr. Knight. You have reappeared.
Yes. So good to see you, brother.
Right back at you.
And for those that don't know who Ryan Knight is, I'm one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. We work with entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage, really to figure out what stage the business is in and then help them create a blueprint to grow their companies exponentially. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I run a company called Detailing Nights. So we go to people's houses or their offices, clean their cars on the spot without water, and our plant-based, eco-friendly cleaning supplies. And shout out to the potential youth entrepreneurs that we're going to be working with in the summer. So if you know a high school or college student that is having trouble finding a job in the summer, please send them our way. We will show them that they have the potential to start their own businesses. And today, rocking SDH Toronto, get your Black Intelligence shirt. And as I said, so good to see you. But I know
right back at you. Hey, before we go any further, always got to make sure we say this, that this episode of The Morning Vibe is sponsored by the Macmillan Group, providing mortgage solutions one client at a time since 1999. Buying, refinancing, or investing, please call them in Canada, 905-813-4354, US, 904-586-5636. And there we go. And I know for a lot of people, I guess do this. It's actually the first official get back to work, get back to stuff day, because the kids are back. The kids are back. One other thing I want to say, to just a few quick things before we get right into it. Always subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, and also if you do it on YouTube, also press the notification button. For those who are finally getting back in the street of things that haven't seen for the last few weeks, on New Year's Eve, the Dr. Vibe Show went over 1,000 YouTube subscribers. So thank you, everyone who has subscribed. And if you're thinking about it, please do tell other people about it, and also press the like button on the on Facebook. But wherever you're watching this, please subscribe. And also, one quick little thing too, I've been asked by an organization called Innovation Guelph, who does helping of entrepreneurs and business in the Guelph region of Ontario, Southern Ontario. I'm going to be hosting a 3-part webinar on how to launch a podcast on January 19th, February 2nd, and February 16th. It is free of charge. Free of charge. So if you click on the link there, you can book for each one of the sessions. So I've been asked to do that. And I have to honestly say, I never thought about ever doing this, but now I've been pulled into the reign of hosting webinars. So I guess I'm
Yes,
getting
yes.
into the Ryan Knight lane of hosting webinars. And also, too, we're going to be giving away a calendar. Yeah, we got to do our calendar giveaway. Still, I haven't heard that we're not supposed to.
Hey, we got stock. Let's give it.
Yeah, I think we got stock. So I'm just setting it up right now. Anyone who wants to qualify for a calendar from Frequency Event Promotions, they have their 2023 calendar featuring I guess GTA
Yeah.
businesses. Yeah, GTA businesses. It's set up now, so anyone who puts in comments going forward from right now, you can win the calendar. Now we are up to speed. So, Ryan,
Sounds.
what's been going on? Have not seen you in a minute. What's been happening?
Yeah, like you said, the kids were off last week, so that caused more family time. But also, I feel like the body was rebooting and getting ready for this week because sleeping a lot more than usual. So maybe I need
Mm-hmm.
some more energy teas in the morning. But other than that, been really good business wise. I feel with the less distractions, getting more admin stuff done. So that's been good. But other than that, yeah, ready for this week. The team's all back and raring to go. So we have our team meetings scheduled and the study groups back. So
Wow,
yeah,
full
man,
force,
good to go. How about
full
you?
force. Um, Doing
Yeah.
good. One other thing I want to put up, I did not put. There's the information to contact the
Yes.
McMillan Group, phone numbers, Canada, US, also toll free, and also website information. Want to make sure they get proper representation because they give us representation.
100%. 100%.
Myself, before as the holiday season came in last year, I can say complete last year, people were saying, "Are you going to take a break? Are you going to take a break?" So I don't know. All of us last year, like at the end of the year, are you taking a break? I took a little bit of a break, but a lot of times I make some of my best positive moves during the holiday season because people are,
Nice.
as you said,
Nice.
less distractions.
Yes.
So I've been able to have some major wins with the YouTube thing and a potential really big collaboration coming for the next few months. It's hopefully going to work out and will not only benefit myself and the other individual, but it's going to work through us. And it's just interesting. This potential collaboration has happened with someone who's never met me. They've
Okay.
never met me. So I'm
Whoa.
always wondering what's going on with us on this side of the border. Why can't we
Yes.
collaborate like this? And this person is a major person. Like
Right.
all
Right.
I'll say, they've won 2 Emmy Awards.
Okay.
So and they approached me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So but also what on Saturday was at Bukan restaurant
Okay. Sweet.
and
Sweet.
had a celebration, and wow, everyone was so impressed with
Excellent.
Bukan restaurant. Had a great time. Everyone loved their food. A number of people there said, I want to come back and bring them more business. So big hail out to Bukan
Stuff.
restaurant. That's Boukan restaurant. If you haven't been there, check it out, folks. Great Haitian food. The rum cheesecake was a hit. The goat was a hit.
Boom.
Everything that was served was a hit. So it was a great win. But yeah, other
Oh,
than
that's
that,
so good.
and a lot of stuff going on this week, and a lot of opportunities. Like I am basically occupied for January. I am occupied. February, I am
Boom.
occupied. And like even yesterday, we had a great conversation. Unfortunately, you couldn't make it on Black Canada, talking about Black Canada 2022, Black Canada 2023 question mark. We had Rosemary Sadler on. We
Right.
had L.A. Wade. We had Cesar Nadima Musa, who was always dropping his knowledge bombs. And we had
Yes.
Jackie from the Black Business, I can't remember the exact name, Black Business Society in Vancouver. So we had a wide range. It was lovely representation of beautiful Black women and Cesar. That was some really good stuff that went down yesterday. So I could chat forever, but I guess that's some of the things going on in my alleged mind.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So what else? So what else has been going on? Well, the holidays are good. The family is good. You got the kids off okay this morning?
Yeah, and I guess the last couple of weeks been really introspective of what to expect for 2023. It was interesting doing the community resolutions event with Donna Harrow.
Yes.
So yourself and myself hosted that, and really getting to hear from the community what they want to see for 2023 and beyond. I know it did lean a bit to like police, how the interacting with the police and what's it called, like police brutality, police in schools. But other things that came up is around, of course, economic development. Made me think of what I do expect for myself and my businesses and even the nonprofit for 2023. So got to spend the last week really mapping that out, writing it down instead of just keeping it in my head. So yeah, it's more a year of focus really coming up. No more winging it. It's like know it
No.
works and then lean into it, you know?
Well, I'll, as I say to people, make a decision and take action. Talk
Yeah.
about it, make a decision, take action, and ask questions. That's a lot of times it's
Yes.
holding a lot of people back, asking questions. It's
Mm.
so important. I can only say for myself that I've made more positive progress asking questions than not asking questions.
What
So
they say,
when you
you have
ask,
2 ears for a reason.
well,
Two.
and it's also true that a lot of things where many of us are don't want to ask questions, so we don't want to look like we don't know something, or
Right.
but we got to get our ego out of the way. We got to get our ego, because a lot of
Yeah.
times the questions you're asking are the ones other people want to ask, but they're afraid. You ever been in a situation where you've asked the question and after people go, I'm so happy you asked that. I was going to ask that.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they'll
You know,
say it's like, oh, but I didn't want to sound dumb.
yeah, exactly. Get your ego out of the way.
Yeah.
Get your
100%.
ego out of the way. So, and it's nice segue, right, in regards to the conversation that Donna had us participating in, because this we're going to be chatting about a very interesting conversation today,
Mm.
and we'll put up on the screen. And even though it's Toronto, it's based on events happening in Toronto, I think it's applicable for a lot of cities, especially in North America. So just recently, Toronto's re-elected mayor, I think for his third term, John Tory, wanted to spend $48.3 million increase in the Toronto police budget, and a lot of the money going to hiring more police officers, less
Mhm.
to programs that'll help marginalized communities. And so a little background on our conversation topic today. So a few days ago, one of my elders called me up. He was angry about this.
Right. Yes.
He was very angry about this. Okay, well, let's come on and let's chop it up. So we this morning have Louis Marsh from the Zero Gun Violence Movement back. Very, very, very always love to have him on. And when Louis came on the phone with me, I said within 30 seconds, I said, Louis, you got to come on and chat about. We got to chat about this. No
True.
choice, because I don't think a lot of media outlets, period, would say, okay, come on and talk about it, or they're going to just give a 2-minute clip. Louis been on a number of different media platforms, and I always say he has room here. Him and his community massive. Anytime they want to chat about important and relevant issues, we make the time. We don't have the time. We make the time. The time is there. We make it to discuss all this. So, Elder, good morning. Happy 2023 to you.
Good morning, and thanks for having me back again. Dr. Vi, Brian, continue to do the incredible work you guys are doing, providing platforms for alternative perspectives
Mm.
beside the traditional dominant perspectives. This is so important for our community to be able to speak the truth
True.
or complete the things that have been left out in the discussion. And the community needs to know, and the public needs to know the full story and not the partial stories that you generally get from the regular media.
Excellent. Before we go any further, Donna is here. Good morning, Donna. Thank you so much for chiming in. And Tim Frey, thank you so much. Thanks for the family for dropping in. And I know both of you, Donna and Tim, and many others will contribute to this morning's conversation. So, Louis, we want you to drive this conversation here. Let's give a historical from your lens about City of Toronto when it comes to Toronto policing and budgetary allocation. What would you like to share with our audience?
I think people need to understand the trends that have taken place. When John Tory became mayor of the city of Toronto in 2014, we had 22 homicides due to gun violence. Today we have over 40 per year. Okay? The number of shootings have doubled since he became mayor of Toronto. The budget for the Toronto police has increased every year. The operating budget for the city of Toronto has increased every year. I think it's gone from 11 billion to 15 billion now. The number of shootings have increased. The number of homicides have increased. The police budget has increased. The amount of money invested in community development has decreased in that period of time. You look at the numbers, and these are not my numbers, these are their numbers. It's a staggering statement about the abuse of power, the abuse of the public's interest, and the neglect of government to spend our tax dollars for the best interest of the city and not for political reasons. The numbers are out there. Something is wrong. And the statement, the announcement that he's going to add 48.3 million to the police budget is not a surprise because this has been his history. But this is in light of the movement to defund the police, to reimagine what policing should look like, and focus on other things that I'm not going to say should put the police out of business, but if we are all safe, we don't need the amount of policing that he keeps adding to the program. We got a major problem here. John Tory's announcement was on the eve of the funeral of the police that got shot. It didn't have to be that way, but he's feeding into tough on crime. We're doing something about it. But the facts do not support and justify what he has been doing. The facts are out there. My initial response is, this looks like a very lazy response. This looks like a one-dimensional response to a multifaceted problem that we have, right? We got a problem when the leadership of the Toronto Police have said that we need to partner, we need to coordinate, we need to work with community. We cannot do policing by ourselves. And I'm just going to put a little historical piece here. Robert Peel, who is the person that sort of reinvented what policing should look like in the 1800s. And if you go to any policing school, academy, whatever, everybody knows about Robert Peel because his principles of policing are what is supposed to drive policing, the institution. And one of the fundamental pieces that he said, for policing to be effective, policing is the public and public is policing. There's a direct relationship. You cannot work in isolation. Policing is the public, public is policing. They have to work together.
Right.
And our policing system has worked in isolation, supported by budget, supported by media, supported by politicians, And in that isolated way of policing, we've seen an increase in criminal activity, shootings, homicides, and we said, let's just give them more money, give them more money, give them more money. So that's my initial response to open the discussion. And I know that Donna, who I've worked with for years, also has some good insights about the policing issue. And I also have insights that go back to the 1970s on how policing operated in our city against our community. And I'm going to bring that in as the discussion continues.
Sure. Fantastic. Fantastic. Good morning, Fitness IQ Cam. Thank you, family. Thank you, family. Ryan, do you want to start the conversation? I can, but if you
Well,
want
I
to
was
start.
curious because, as you mentioned, the move feels lazy, and as I heard the announcement, it made me think like it was the popular move. It's like the easy choice instead of going the hard way with actually working with community, figuring out what amount of that almost 50 million could go towards more of the community partnerships. So I'm curious, how do we combat politicians making political moves that make them look good to their base and really lean into and put pressure for them to do the hard work instead of just the easy route? Like, it really feels like we're stuck because this is what they've been doing year over year over year. How do we intercept that or interrupt it, the pattern?
Well, Ryan, the first word in community safety is community.
Mm.
It's not police and it's not politicians. We've just gone through the Kwanzaa celebrations, the 7 principles
Mm-hmm.
about self determination, about faith, about family, about community, about business. I did not see police in there once, and
Right,
I did not see politicians in there once.
right.
Those principles. They spoke about community being at the forefront, individuals being at the forefront. So, any dependency that we have on the police and politicians to fix our community issues, it's a non starter for me. How do we develop community so we can be at the forefront? Uh, Zero gun violence movement works across the city of Toronto, so we see the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
When I see significant improvement in how things are working, I see community at the forefront. I see community at the forefront. Politicians and police coming later. If they show up, we've got a problem,
Right, right.
right? Uh, if this is working properly, the police budget should be decreasing.
Mm-hmm.
If we're making progress, the police budget should be decreasing. But as crime increases, we put more police on the ground. Crime increases, more police. Crime increases, more police.
Right.
Something's wrong with that. We have to insert community back. We have to go back to Robert Peel where the public is involved more. And what I would have liked to see, and I know the city is working on something called the Safe TO plan and Towards Peace. Safe TO is still on the shelf. I still haven't seen it operational yet, which is a 10-year investment in community investments to address violence in community. Towards Peace, yeah, we've worked with them on a couple initiatives, right? But I did not see that even mentioned in the budget, right? So it seems as though the priority is about political gain for Tory, pandering to this tough on crime issue, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm the mayor for all the people. I listen to the people. I listen to the community. That's why we're putting more police officers on the street. I'm saying, hold on a second, John. We work in the community. We we all want to be safe when we leave our house to go to
Right.
work. We all want to be safe when we go to school, right? But there's other things involved. Community programs, legitimate community programs,
Mm-hmm.
community centers open and providing services that the community needs, right? There's other things that if they're not fixed, crime has to happen. It has to happen. So always dealing with the policing portion, again, is lazy, one-dimensional, to a very complicated, multifaceted issue that we have the resources and means to address. We just don't have the political leadership.
Okay. Just want to jump in here. Donna is saying, I agree with both of you in regards to the announcement. It's lazy. It is lazy and also dramatic by bringing in the media component in where we drop something when a media event like this police officer's funeral is going to happen. I want to, and Louis too, I want to ask, because you have a valued experience, people like yourself and Donna, how in any way has policing to our community changed, if any, since the 1970s?
So I'm going to go back to the 1970s and just give you a snapshot. 1979 September, there was a spate of police shootings of black people. We held a Black Youth Provincial Conference at Skadden Court Community Center to address it. The issues on the agenda were police brutality, anti-black racism, school-to-prison pipeline. Those were the issues that were discussed. The Canadian Civil Liberties Group had organized a forum at OISE, the Ontario Institute for Studies in Education, to discuss police brutality, racism in the police force, to address it. And it was all set to take place. And at the last second, the police withdrew from the forum, saying that they didn't think it was going to be a public discussion. And they didn't want to further excite the public about the shootings. So their solution, instead of talking about it, was to withdraw from the forum. This is 1979. Today, policing, they've admitted that they've had racism in the police force. They've admitted now that racism against our community is twice, 3 times what other communities and other people endure. Strip searches, everything. This is something that we've been telling them from the 1970s. It took them 40 years to figure it out. I don't have another 40 years in me, right, to get to the solution here. They've admitted it, which is a step in the right direction. They've the police culture is changing in that they're more receptive to community. They're inserting police officers into communities for 4-year terms.
Right.
To build relationships, get to understand the community, and so on and so on. There's more public consultations, public discussions, and more reports, research, data collection. So now they have acknowledged the problem exists. Now, what do we do moving forward? And this is why John Tory's announcement is a slap in the face to all these efforts. Because again, it's focusing on policing. Look, there's a difference between the quality of policing and quantity of policing. There's a big difference between quantity of policing versus quality. And I'm going to give you a quick example so that we can hear from Donna and others. We all want to feel safe in our community. When we leave, our children go out at night, we want them to come home safely. If something breaks or something goes wrong in our community, the first people we call, the ones with the logo on the car that says to serve and protect, we call them first because we trust that they're going to come and fix what was broken or what went wrong. But when they show up in our community, they're the last people we want to be seen with, because we don't know if they're coming with guns ablazing. We don't know if they're going to come with their racist agenda. with their biases and their history and their culture. So the trust issue is still a major problem. They don't trust us, we do not trust them.
Right.
However, from legislation, we give them authority to use force at their discretion. We give them legislative authority to even kill people. But when they show up in our community, we run for cover. That tells you there's a disconnect here. They've finally admitted that they've got a problem. They've got a new police chief. They're speaking that we need to work with community. Clearly, the politicians are not hearing this. And then we're left in the situation right now. How do we move forward? And what is it in this $48.3 million that addresses the overall complexity of this issue and not the one-dimensional stuff that Tory and Doug Ford always retreat to?
Okay, just before we just a little catch up here. Donna says to Alofina Wilson, Ame. Alofina Wilson says, greetings, everyone. Also says, greetings, Mr. Louis Marsh, our prolific zero gun violence community elder ago. And then Donna has a comment here. There has been change in all the police, in that all the police brutality and violence wasn't spoken about now. At least the police department is beginning to acknowledge that there are issues, but there is no work towards fixing that, towards working with the community. And that's where the conversation with the ripple effect on January 2nd happened, where we talked about connecting community with policing, which is what Louis was talking about earlier. Ryan, do you have a comment? I have many, but I certainly want to make sure we walk together on this one.
Well, that's where you had mentioned that the announcement of the dollars was more of a slap in the face. And I was going to ask if you found it surprising that they would go that route, because the police have been more receptive. They, like you said, acknowledged the wrongdoing. So that shift from the 70s to now present day, at least there's the acknowledgement that if budgetary dollars were put towards more community involvement, the police would be on board, from what I'm hearing. So now, is it that the announcement was made and communication on how the money is going to be spent still needs to be worked out? Or was this announcement specific about what they're going to spend the money on?
Well, the announcement is about adding 200 new police officers, 90 new special constables, 20 new 911 operators, because when the phone call goes into 911, they're the ones that rate the call.
Right.
Is it an emergency? Is it drug addiction? Whatever it is. And they connect them with police and the services, so on and so on. 60 new neighborhood police community officers. Look, he could have done a better job of outlining the community impacts,
right,
instead of to the police. Like, how much money went to the community? Like, you walk around the city of Toronto, when the sun sets and goes down at night, there's certain communities in our city that become alive, vibrant, energetic, business activity, people walking around with 2 and 3 shopping bags with a little dog on their side with ice cream cones and stuff. Playgrounds are filled with people. And another part of the city, when the sun sets, the community shuts down.
It's shut down, right.
You don't see a soul out unless they have to be out. So Toronto has become a city of cities, right? Your community safety level is dependent on your postal code, in other words. The parts of the city that shuts down and everybody retreats into their homes is there for a reason. It happens for a reason, because people do not feel safe. There's no investment. There's no economic investment. A lot of these problems could be avoided if young people had positive alternative activities to take part in their communities, where they could come out and feel safe. This is what we need to do. We need to invest in community programming, community services, community support. We need to build. When last have you seen cranes in these communities? You go downtown, there's cranes everywhere.
Right, right.
There's massive investment in other communities, but in the communities that are shut down and running for cover, where's the investments there? Why do we have community centers that close at 5 o'clock? Why do we have community centers that you have to have a passcode to get into? Like, what's going on here? So the announcement is not a surprise, but you'd like to see more reflection and understanding of what's taking place and what needs to be fixed, right? And we're not seeing that, right? We hear a lot of talk. We have a new police chief. Let's see what he has to say about this. He should have come out and said, John, with all due respect, thank you very much for this 40, but some of it should have been focused to so on and so on and so on and so on. That's what he could have said, but he kept quiet on it, right? So that's a sign. Like, step up.
True.
Here's your new opportunity. You're the new chief. Don't be afraid to step forward on this issue.
And that was something that came up, well, in the conversation that we had with Donna Harrow and the community resolutions, is how this new chief even came into being and how it really happened without a lot of community involvement. So I was curious your perspective on the new chief, and now the fact that he's quiet on this new amount of dollars and not enough of it going to the community. I'm curious if you were part of any consultations where this new chief was coming in, and your feedback so far.
That's a big question. I've been working on the zero gun violence movement. This is going to be our 10th year. Mm-hmm. Zero gun violence movement started off as a 90-day summer initiative. And as we peeled away the layers of what this problem was about, on day 91, when the summer was finished, we couldn't pull the plug on it. So it has evolved. There's a bigger problem out there. When the announcement came out, the police chief, who we've worked with, because I said, where is the Black community organization when it comes to gun violence? I'm not hearing any community organization taking this on as part of their mandate. Right. None of them have stepped up and said, enough is enough. Zero gun violence movement looks at the gun violence issue as a city problem. But I'd like to see more voices from the Black community saying that enough is enough. This disproportionately affects our community. All these shootings, all these killings, all these funerals, is traumatizing to us as a people. Right? So we did set up some community organizations, the JCA, Black Health Alliance. Several of them came together and said, what can we do? And they organized, we had weekly meetings to address this issue. And the new police chief was at a couple of those meetings talking about and responding to the demands, the concerns that were raised. So he has some inside knowledge as to what's going on in our community, what needs to be done, what the demands were. And it all goes back to engaging community in your solutions. Mm-hmm. This community cannot be an afterthought. It has to be the first thought, the priority. So the new police chief has shown some interest in making this right. But I'd like to see that more in actions now than in words.
Mm-hmm. Okay, just catching up with some comments here. Aldafina says, yes, for us, by us. Also, welcome Charmaine Hussey. Greetings all. The strategy to build relationship communities is not effective and needs to be revisited. Also, Donna is saying, I believe that this isn't about utilizing the funds in a proactive way, Our police department is still more of a military type policing rather than community policing, and we need to change that. She also says the old chief worked with the Ripley fact and is still up on our website, and is actually still up on our website, stating his commitment to working with the Ripley fact in terms of combating anti-racism. We didn't even know that he was gone. And yes, and then Ray, thank you for the email group, says, good morning, everyone. Since the police department are municipal employees, as is the mayor, is the budgetary increase something that is voted on by city council members?
It is. So you come up with the budget, the proposed budget. There's a discussion about the budget numbers, and then there's a vote. Unfortunately, when the discussion on the budget comes up in council, our community organizations are seldom present to participate in the discussion. And the reason why, because a lot of these community organizations get funding from the government. So they cannot go there and question and challenge because of fear that their budget will be impacted.
Right.
So a lot of the community organizations, I hate to say this, but I have to say it. A lot of the community organizations have become an extension of the government because of the dependency relationship on funding. So when you have these public discussions, we don't have the full force of community there because they're not allowed to speak out on these issues as part of their policy, right? So it's left up to individuals, bold people, that will go and challenge. But imagine if these community organizations came together and made a public statement. Have you seen that? No.
True.
So it's a catch-22.
Yep.
You remain silent, that means you're agreeing. You go and speak, your funding gets cut. So what do? So John Tory is like a bully. He's like a bully.
Adafino says accessible infrastructure is so lacking for our children's and youth holistic development. Now they are socially malnourished, youth struggling. Ryan, go ahead.
That comment is very interesting because when we think of the infrastructure that's around us, and Louis, you touched on how different parts of the city come alive. Do you know of anybody working on how to redevelop certain areas of the city so that it mimics like having, I don't want to say nightlife, but at least after 5, things that are happening in the evening that are positive and even connected to schools, because schools typically just shut down at 3 as well. And there's no real extension for their work into the communities. So there's a real gray area as soon as school lets out and the community shuts down. And now it's like people are just drifting instead of there being purposeful engagement that schools could be a part of as well.
You need strong leadership to make the necessary changes. Schools should not be shutting down at 3 o'clock, 3:30. If you speak to the people, like, look, we have a provincial premier named Doug Ford that says that he's from the old school. He believes in putting more boots on the ground. So what does he do? He cuts $25 million from after school programming for young people and he gives it to the police.
Whoa.
Those people that were normally in these after school programs, where did they go? Are they now part of the criminal element? I can't say for sure. But when I speak to the people on the street that are involved, they said, look, there's no other positive alternatives for us. We can't go here. This is closed down. We can't go there. They said that if they had positive programming in the schools, whether it's debating clubs, whether it's basketball, whether it's resume writing, you have the space there, you have the physical, you close it down, you run them out on the streets,
Right.
And then you're surprised when they get into activities that we don't consider positive, right? So all these things come together, right? And we don't have the leadership to coordinate it. There's a difference between living in Rosedale and living in Rexdale. In Rosedale, you don't have to worry about violence because everything is nice. Whether it's employment, whether it's education, whether it's housing, everything is nice. In Rexdale, it's the complete opposite. You come out to the house, you got to be looking behind you more than you're looking in front of you
Mm.
for fear that something could happen. What is going on in Rosedale that is not going on in Rexdale? And what's going on in Rexdale that is not going on in Rosedale? And what can we do to close the gap? So we're not asking for the impossible. We're looking for political leadership that says, hold on a second, we need to fix this in Rexdale. We need to do massive investments, not a
Mm.
3-hour workshop on this and that. Massive investments. I want to see cranes.
Right.
I want to see construction. I want to see transformation. I want to see massive investments because we already got the template. But who is going to close the gap? Who's going to identify this need and close the gap? What are we saying? Well, let's just give more money to the police and let's over surveillance the people in Rexdale, in Regent Park, in Lawrence Heights, right? If they had positive alternatives, positive programs, positive initiatives, economic activity, people gravitate away from crime. And
Yeah.
that's what we're not seeing.
All right.
Safety plan is supposed to be addressing this. But when last have you heard anybody speak about safety, the plan, the 10-year plan that they have?
And did anything come out of the confronting act? Oh my gosh, confronting anti-black racism unit that is at the city of Toronto. Was this not part of their mandate to work on how to include community when dealing with violence that's happening? And I thought their report had created this 18 recommendations that engagement with youth was part of it. I don't know how much feedback you've had from them on what they're doing.
Engaging youth in these decision making process has been discussed, reported on, recommended on for decades.
Mm-hmm.
After the year of the gun in 2005, McMurtry and Curling came up with a report. Donna knows it well. They had their recommendations too. They had to do another report on why the recommendations were not implemented.
Right.
Like, this is how the politics work.
Yes.
And I go back to the Quanta principles. All 7 principles talk about community investment, community development. But I don't see politicians and police in any of those principles. Right? The community has to step forward. That's what I'm saying. We have to decide on the level of safety within our community that we want. And if we abdicate that responsibility to politicians and police, history is not on our side because of the way those institutions have been set up. We have to roll up our sleeves as community organizations. When the budget is coming to city council to be discussed, community organizations should be there by the hundreds.
So Aldafina saying, say it, Mr. Marsh, say it. Also, Donna is saying, we're going to do it this year with the community resolution document that comes out of that meeting, though. Also, Donna says they are working on it. One of the groups that they're working on is with the ripple effect, and we are working on plans going forward for this. That's why I'm saying it's coming. We just need some more core community leadership. Alafina also says we also need some more regular community forums like this, safe spaces to have more meetings of minds. We are stronger together. Also, as always, want to say hello to our Florida connection, Dr. Tachi, host of and co-producer of Mediascope, the livest program online that talks about media, tech, and pop culture, 5 p.m. Eastern Times on Instagram on Wednesdays, and then 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesdays on various program platforms such as LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook Live. And Aldofina is saying to Dr. Marsh, dropping gems. So, Louis, we spoke a few moments and we have a lot of offline conversations What can the melanated people do?
Look, I'm going to go back to the Kwanzaa principles.
Mhm.
It started in 1966, Dr. Karenga, after the Watts riots in Los Angeles. And there was a series of riots across America, where there was Chicago, New York, so on and so on and so on. And the big riot in Watts was a 6-day riot where the community said enough is enough.
Mhm.
Racism in the police, underemployment, under education, under housing, all these things. It came to the volcano exploded, and there were 6 days of riots. 1,000 buildings destroyed, burnt down. In Watts, 4,000 people arrested, 34 people killed. The community said enough is enough, right? Out of that came the Black Panther Party. The
Mhm.
Black Panther Party came out in 1966. Know your history. The community stepped up and said enough is enough, and they took matters into their own hands. The community today, we have to take matters into our own hands.
I want to politely interrupt you, Elder, though. Have we got to that a point where we said we're saying enough is enough? I don't know if we've got there yet.
Mhm.
Well, I'm not going to advocate for 6 days of riots and burning down buildings and stuff, okay? Please. I don't want
Understood.
anybody to misunderstand me,
Mhm.
right? But there's different ways in which we can say enough is enough, right? We can organize, we can collaborate, we can trust each other, we can work together, right? We can have a public forum within the black community, within these organizations. Ryan, I know that you're doing some incredible work with the business and uh, entrepreneur investment. I'm hearing about the work that you're doing from young men on the street, right? Uh, there's incredible people already doing incredible work. There's organizations that are doing incredible work. But can we do this in a collaborative way for collective impact?
Right.
Can we do this in a collaborative way
That is the
for,
bottom line
right?
question.
And stop depending on government to make decisions on our behalf.
True.
So this is where we need to go. Look, again, I want to make it clear. I'm not advocating for 6 days of riots in Toronto. Okay?
Mhm.
But within our community, we need to rethink collective impact through collaborative working together. So we should have a forum where we bring the community organizations together and said, what are our priorities? What can we do? What must we do? Right? To drive the community agenda. Let's call it that. What is the black community agenda? But are we ready for that, Dr. Vive?
Mm-hmm.
Some people say
That's the question.
we're not ready. But we got to start somewhere because our young people are paying the price.
I think,
Exactly.
Elder, I'm gonna add on to that. We are all paying the price, not just the young people. We're
See?
all paying the price. All of us, not just young people. We are all paying the price. That's my thought. Not just the young people. We are all paying the price.
So,
I'm
so
just gonna
it has
catch up.
to be community driven.
Yep.
Our solution
True.
has to be community driven. Our voice must be heard. We have to be
All the
strategic.
all the
Mhm.
fears saying, Elder Mar, say it. She's saying, say it. All the comments are flying in. Okay, let me just catch up here. So Donna is saying there is something called participatory budgeting that I am working with some people around, which takes from the community counselors and leaders in general to look at how money is spent on what is being spent and making sure that it's a negative way of serving the community. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that we as community members need to know that we are citizens and not beggars. Good point. And we can't just go in hat in hand all the time. Not all the time. We not only have to sit and wait for. Absolutely. Gonna piggyback on that point in a moment. Dr. Chachi says, yes, the goal is collective impact, which means working as a collective. Charmaine is saying we can also educate the people on our rights as well to protect ourselves. Oh, lots of questions. Wow, people coming in now. Judy Smith saying, I do not live in the center of the universe, but love your conversations and know how important community engagement is. All stakeholders from all parts of society must continue to keep the issues of racism as an issue where everyone cares. I try to put myself in other people's shoes. I would want others to care and want things to change. I think it has to be bigger than just one group. One of my friends is a surgeon. He's from Pakistan. He races to the hospital to save lives on half of, don't get the rest of it because it probably ran out. But there are some questions. Let me come back. One question. Oh, question here. Why don't we have any land trusts? I don't know.
This comes about again the concept of self-determination, investment in self, collective work, collective responsibility. It all comes back to these simple things where the quantum principles speak about. There's no dependency on others, much less the politicians, right? Look, I've been down to City Hall. I've been down to these council meetings. I've been deputations, and I'm repeating myself over and over and over again. On top of reports, data, reports, more data, more reports. They know what needs to be done, but they don't see any political value by pursuing our priorities.
Right.
Who is the one that's going to push our priorities?
Our narrative. Who's pushing our narrative?
Is it them or is it going to be us? Right? We have to come together. Right? We have to drive this. We cannot be passengers at this critical time in history. We cannot be passengers at this critical time and hoping that John Tory. We know his track record. We look at his budget. We look at his budget, operating budget increasing year after year. We look at the budget increase for the police year after year, despite the defunding the police demands. And
Also,
we look at the investment in community. That has declined.
Also, too, now with the increased powers that he has given by Premier Ford.
Well, some people circulate that he has now become a bully plus, right? You know, he's going to bully all these rookie councillors into this, and that's why we have to make a voice heard. So when they're having the budgetary discussions on police and so on, we must be there, not as one and two, but hundreds.
Group, right?
Are we ready to do it, knowing that if we speak too loud and we don't stick to their program, our funding might dry up. Or government funding might dry up.
Because one thing that has started to become more clear to me as I'm reading and we're doing research and surveys is how the Black community is almost a nation within a nation, but we don't treat ourselves like that. So I'm curious, in your experience, have you seen anything that has worked to bring the community together to do forums like you're talking about that we need? Like, were there any initiatives that became a project that we rallied around? And like you said, we don't want 6 days of riots to be the rallying cry that we start to actually pay attention. Like, has anything happened in the past that you saw was effective in bringing us together?
Things have been started, but they've not been sustained. Right? We've had national organizations, provincial organizations, and local organizations. But I think Dr. Vibe spoke about it, leave the egos out, right? And a lot of that has, and it's also something we call it the funding Olympics. The funding Olympics is a simple concept. When the funders, whether it's government or non-government, comes out with funding for community initiative program and so on, they know who's going to get the gold, silver, and bronze medal. People that are organizations they're familiar with, that they've worked with. And then the leftover funds, all the community organizations have to compete for it. That's why we call it the Olympics.
Gotcha.
But in order to compete for those funds, they have to compete with the organizations themselves. My program is better than yours. My mandate is on a fancier brochure, right? We can deliver on that, right?
Right.
How many times do we check to see if they actually delivered?
Mm.
So the Olympics, the funding Olympics is basically, it goes against the whole concept of community development and community investment.
Okay, just jumping in, Judy had talked about, she said one of her friends is a surgeon. He's from Pakistan. He races the hospital to save lives, and and then let's put it here. And she says, when he is pulled over, the first question he gets is, whose car is this?
Mm-hmm.
Charmaine says, the police once drove up in my driveway and blocked my husband and I when we were sitting in the vehicle talking. Their approach is one of driving fear, which is so wrong. Aldafina says, is there still the quote shadow people unquote effect? Our people are always hiding in fear, then allowing clowns to promote misrepresentation and disrepresentation. I don't see my peers in rooms where decisions are being made that affect us.
They actually,
Also,
Dr. Vibe, if I can say,
yep.
the, look, after the protests and demonstrations 2 summers ago, community organizations, businesses, government was responding. We should have more black people present in these spaces. And there was a deliberate attempt to make this happen. But when those people get into those places, the system and the institution, the historical, still overpowers them, right? And they don't get to speak their speak. In fact, they become part of the system.
If not, they end up quitting.
So there's all these things that are so, but we cannot give up on that. We still have to keep showing up, hoping that people like Ryan and yourself are in these spaces and are not afraid to speak up.
Right.
Right? We have to keep doing this because, to be honest, sometimes we're inexperienced, we're intimidated. They've got 400 years of doing this on us. We got a lot of catching up to do, right? But we have opportunities now that we didn't have before. We're not much. Look, Dr. Vibe, we've spoken about it. We have to become not passengers, we have to become drivers, but we have to also learn how to own the car.
Mm-hmm.
We have to keep raising the bar, and we have to keep at this. Because if we continue to have these dependency models on institutions that have never worked in our best interest, that is suicidal.
True.
Donna goes, this is part of the oppressive system that we have to navigate daily. And then Charmaine says, mindset of the police needs to change as blackmail. Being black makes you guilty.
And that's a major problem. Whenever anything happens, like I saw the picture on the front page of the Toronto Sun yesterday. It was incredible. A black person just the image is degrading, right? Offensive, and they get away with it. When a white person commits a crime and they put their face on the newspaper, it's sunbathing in Bahamas or something.
Right.
But Elder, let me ask you, can we really expect that to change in the short term, and we should not be putting our energies on us, mobilizing and energizing us, because those communities are going to take care of those communities first? Do we not have to spend more of our energies getting our people to where we need to be?
Of course, there's no doubt about it. Anytime we have a dependency model on others, it's not going to be to our best interest. We have to focus our energies now on personal development. Like, I'm still in school. People ask me, what the fuck are you still in school for? Are you looking for a PhD? No, I'm looking for a PhD. I'm looking for education and knowledge. Right? I don't need any letters on my name. Look, we have to invest in self, We have to invest in family. We have to invest in our relationships with each other. And we have to invest in our organizations. We have to invest in our community. And from
Uh,
then, we'll start to see the power that we have.
no offense to the pursuit of education, but I think the investment in the family and the relationships and ourselves is as, if not more important as the education. They need to go hand in hand
So I was at a
because
meeting on Friday with some black men, and one of them mentioned this word, right? You get used to it. He says we've got isms for everything. Where is the family ism?
Ah, right.
let me just add on to that. You know, it's probably the same in Canada, if not much different. You know, the two lowest economic value worth groups in America? The lowest economic value group in America are single black women with families. And just after that, it's single black men with families.
Are we okay with that? We should have a revolution against that,
Right.
right?
So I don't it's probably not that much different in Canada.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Like our relationships have become more about competition,
We were
right? Than
discussing that. Yeah,
anything else.
we're more looking at competing instead of completing, but that's a whole other
And so
conversation.
these are the fundamental pieces that we must put in place, right?
Yeah.
When I work with a population that have been involved in criminal activity, one of the first things they speak about, I didn't have a father figure. I didn't have somebody showing me the way.
Mhm.
The peer pressure, the media pressure, right, always took me in the wrong direction. There was nobody bringing me back, right? I tell people that when I grew up in Spanish Town in Jamaica, I had 10 mothers, I had 10 fathers. I don't know where they all came from, but everybody figured that they had the right to discipline me if I did something wrong and to keep me on the straight track. And on my good days, I could dodge most of them, but they would catch up to me on Sunday at church, right? There was a responsibility, there was a caring, but it was at the community level, it was at the family level, and the people level. We don't have that. They talk about it takes a village to raise a child. I'm saying to myself, why do you keep talking about that? We don't have the village mindset anymore. That was
True.
yesterday.
Well, then this is where Ryan and I buck heads because he has his favorite C word, and I don't use the C word that much. I think there's a lot of black neighborhoods, not a lot of black. Ryan can fill in the word.
The
Jeez.
concept of the village. What I'm saying is that the concept of village has changed. We have to
Yes.
reimagine it
Let's evolve.
in a contemporary
Right.
Western world, right? So there's
Right.
not one pot of food that's going to serve everybody. No one's going to look over the fence and say, I'll look after your child if you're going to be late. We don't have that. But we have social media,
Donna's
we have
saying so.
technology. So how do we reimagine what this village can look like in 2023 as we move forward?
Absolutely.
So Donna's saying training for police to hold them accountable. We as a people need to train our people.
Correct.
Ryan, any final words as we let Elder, because I think he needs a glass of water, so I don't want to hold him on too
Yeah, no
much
worries.
longer.
And it's really just brainstorming, and that last sentence you said about reimagining what community does look like in the black community, the black space, and figuring out, hey, what worked from the past that we can bring forward, and what new technology, what new ways of looking at things can we use to now have those what they Floydine always talks about, meeting of the minds, where we're bringing together community to talk about our issues purposefully instead of reacting to everything that's happening to us. We should already have these meetings planned out for the whole year to say, hey, this is when we're talking about XYZ topics. So if that's something that I could lend my support to figure out how do we bring, I'll say, the economic space to the conversation, businesses, organizations that support businesses, 100% on board. So looking forward to our next conversation about what meetings and forums we could be having and not reacting to things and just having topics, because the budget, like you said, for the city happens every year. So that should be a conversation that happens on like at least once a year, and leading up to it, we should already have this on our radar.
I just want to add, here's a comment here from Ray saying, if our elder says some community organizations are, quote, toothless, unquote, should we be more focused on molding young members of the community for council infusion? Initiate the change from within instead. Your thoughts, Elder?
Interesting.
I love that. So if I'm speaking to young people, there's two things I will say to them. The first one is, you marched, you protested, you demonstrated 2 summers ago. You walked with us because you were not happy, you were not satisfied with the way things were unfolding. Now you have to vote with us. Right? Walked yesterday, vote today. And the next thing I say to them is, people will speak to you about you being the leaders of tomorrow. I say that's BS. Never tell a young person he's the leader of tomorrow. You tell them that they need to lead today. Because you can be a leader in your house, you can be a leader in school. That whole concept about leaders of tomorrow, they're putting you off. They're delaying. Right? Stop telling young people that they're leaders of tomorrow. You're our future. No, you are our present. So the young people we must deliver a different message, because they're sitting on the sidelines waiting for tomorrow to come.
True.
I need to activate your leadership and your engagement right now. And if you look at history, whenever there's been any fundamental change in the way society operates, young people have been at the forefront. So stop waiting until tomorrow to be a leader. Start showing leadership today.
Start now. Start now. Just want to add additional comments here. Judy saying we need more people from different backgrounds to be in position of power. The Indigenous community have support from the government called ITB, Industrial Technology Benefits, Technological Benefits. If you have an Indigenous owner or leader, you get a credit. All government contracts need ITBs. If you're a female owned or lead, you can get an ITB. That could be something of help. Good to know. Also, Judy asks, how do you feel about community officers being back in school? From a relationship standpoint, understand that it should be not to be racially profiled. In London, Ontario, where I live, the police do not want to go back into the schools. Not sure if there's time to answer that. Thank you for the great conversation, Judy. Elder, do you want to talk about that?
So quickly, this is a hot issue right now, police in schools. The principal of the school is responsible for the education in the classrooms, the safety in the schools. The principal is the one that should decide what level of safety is needed. There's not one size that fits all. That polarization is a non-starter for me. In certain communities, the school needs to be open 24 hours so that they become a community hub of engagement and activity to provide positive alternatives.
Right.
So this has to be done at the school level. There has to be parent council meetings that are legitimate. That means the parents
and
show up.
Black parents have to show up at them.
Yes. So they have to be legitimate. They have to be representative, right? There has to be community programming in the schools after school. There's a program called Success Beyond Limits at the Westview Collegiate, where they have community people in a classroom providing supports to the students. So instead of going to the principal's office, you can go to this classroom. And there's youth running that. So we have to rethink what education is all about, and police and safety. When you set up the school system with just the classroom as the focal point and exclude community and parents and programming? Why would you have this space and as soon as 3 o'clock, 3:30 shows up, you lock the doors?
Right.
In some community, that's okay because there's other things where the people can go
Mm.
and feel good. Safe spaces, safe activities, legitimate programming. There's certain parts in our city where that doesn't exist. Why would you close the school door? And if you do this wrong, violence has to happen.
Mm.
Violence does not happen in a vacuum. Violence is the result of something else not working right. And it's not only school violence, there's domestic violence, there's drug violence, there's gun violence, there's gang violence. All this type of violence is taking place because we are not setting up places where positive alternatives are available to the population that is still left behind or have been neglected. So, police in schools, again, lazy response, not
Mm.
thought of properly, feeds into the polarization. Right? Let's blame the victims.
Mm.
No,
All
there's
right.
other ways that we in 2023 can address this issue without again leaning on police.
So Judy says principal deciding is a great approach. Thank you for this answer. The police in London do not want to go back to the schools. Just some final comments here. Alafina says yes, activation. She also says yes, more safe spaces. Donna's saying lost my sound. Thanks for a great conversation. Well, thanks to everyone who made it a great conversation.
Mhm.
This is what we do. We do co-creative, not just us. We just steer the ship. Elders and the audience, people like elders and the audience, you drive the ship. Elder, thank you again for taking the time to share with us. Say, do you have any final words you'd like to share with the community massive?
In terms of final words, I go back to the Kwanzaa principles. It talks about self determination. It talks about faith. It talks about unity. We have to go back to those principles and see how we can incorporate them into our daily living, not only during the Kwanzaa season, right? Anytime we have a dependency model on people that have historically exploited our community,
Mm.
neglected our community, it does not bode well for our present and for our future. We have to roll up our sleeves. Look, there are incredible people out there doing incredible work. I see it daily. There's organizations doing incredible work. Let's collaborate better. Let's organize better. Let's communicate better.
Thank you, Elder. And any of those
Thank you so
people that
much.
you know that we don't know about, please tell them we'd love to have them share here
Mhm.
to give us all hope and encouragement and the positive energy and light that we all need on a regular basis.
Thanks for this
There's the
opportunity.
contact information for Elder, Zero Gun Violence Movement, their website address, their email address, the Instagram handle, and their Facebook handle. As always, Elder, remember, don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and give yourself grace.
Thank you very much for having me again.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Pleasure.
Welcome.
Thank you. Take care. Keep the faith. All right.
Excellent. Excellent.
Wow. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Any final comments before we eject?
Just the call out's gonna go to all these organizations, and I'm curious when we can schedule the next community forum, and
Yeah,
let's see who shows up. Like
exactly.
whoever
Exactly.
shows
Let's
up
see.
is who we rock with. We
Well,
can't
we don't want.
pull people
I
in.
think we have to take the thought process. We don't want everybody. We want the right people.
Exactly.
You
So
know. But look
yes,
at it this way: say everyone just gave 1%. Could you imagine how much movement would happen?
right. And that's where it should be on our calendars. Like this shouldn't be something that we're always trying to piece together. It should be, hey, we're 2023. This is what happens as community conversations every year. Like it should just be automatic. So
Absolutely. What's up for the rest of the week?
yeah, we back into the grind. I have a couple meetings with, where is it? The city of Markham to touch base about, hey, what they're doing for diversity inclusion. Also with the study group happening on Tuesdays. So actually, I'll extend the invitation to Louis to be part of this as we talk more about actioning things that need to be done in the community around different themes in the community. So yeah, it'd be good conversation to see how we can mitigate youth violence, because that's one of the chapters in the Black Empowerment Manifesto, is how to reduce youth violence in our community. So, and again, that's not a space that I focused on. So we need to hear from those that are running organizations and movements that are focused on that space, so we can see how we can support. So looking forward to that tomorrow.
Good stuff. Aldefina says more. Aldefina says we are stronger together. Yes, we're going to do more. If you're watching this live or on the replay, those are the different places you can catch replays of this epic conversation. As always, I'm going to say subscribe if you want to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. Also hit the notification button, like on the Facebook. Also, wherever you're watching this, just subscribe wherever you're watching so you get notified of these upcoming conversations. Again, if you want to know about podcasting, join me on January 19th, February 2nd, February 16th to talk all things podcasting. Join me for this free, I should put free next time, the free 3-part highly interactive
free series.
There it is. Free. I put it at the end. There's a link if you want to check that out.
Yes.
Also, we've got to do a giveaway. So we got to do the giveaway real quick. If you haven't, too late, because we're in bonus time, so we're just going to run it. So this is for a calendar from Frequency Event Promotions. We got it up. We got the screen there. Let's do the giveaway. Bam.
Cool.
Let's see who is the winner today.
Tachi.
Ah, the McMillan. I think the McMillan Group has won.
I swear they did.
I think they have won. So we're going to do it again. I think you've won, McMillan Group. So sorry, make this assumption. We're going to draw again. I think they have won. So let's try again.
If not, we'll reserve one for them.
There you go. Why does it keep on doing McMillan Group? Have you hijacked? Have they hijacked the back end? Have they hijacked? Ray, have you done work your magical powers? All right, Donna. There we go. That's better. Amazing, so, Donna, you have won a calendar from the Frequency Event Promotion. So, what you need to do, Donna, is this. So, let me take this off the screen. And what you need to do is, Donna, if you email info@Frequency Event Promotions and put the word The Morning Vibe in the subject line of your email, Christopher from Frequency Event Promotions will send you out a calendar that features various Black Canadian businesses around the Greater Toronto area. So we got that happening. We got some final comments coming in for some people here. Dr. Tachi, this was phenomenal. Thank you so much. Fitness IQ Cam, love the conversation. And I thought Ray said, yes, we did. So we were good to do the reading of the conversation. And Dr. Seth says, yay, Donna. So that is fantastic. If we got anything else going on here. All right. This is good. So we are done until Friday.
Yes. Looking forward to it.
Don't know what we have coming up on Friday. If not, we'll do an open thing. And Ryan, I know what we're going to do at least every few weeks. We'll do one of our open conversations where we'll just invite people to come on and chop it up with us. We had Fitness IQ Cam, who was very brave to come on with us. And also then Ray McMillan joined us. And Fitness IQ Cam, you didn't talk much. So we need you back. You got to talk a little bit more. I know Ray drops knowledge bombs. You got to share with us also. So we're looking forward to it. For those who are getting back in the swing of things this week, as always, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Also, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember to give yourselves grace. Oh, Fitness IQ says, I was brave and shy. That's a rare moment.
Yes.
Well, we'll see you back on Friday, family. Have a great week. Thanks for always. We appreciate you, and see you then.